Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. Hey, Formula One fans. We've got some serious news that could impact the future of one of the sport's biggest teams, Red Bull Racing. So stay tuned, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We bring you F1 content every single day. Fast, clear, and straight to the point. And if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps us a lot. Today we're talking about Christian Horner, Red Bull's team principal. Not long ago, Horner was almost universally praised within the team. During Red Bull's dominant seasons, his leadership was rarely questioned. But over the past year, a series of controversies has seriously damaged his image, raising doubts about his future with the team. Reports now suggest that Horner himself is preparing for the possibility of being removed from his position, not because he wants to leave, but because he believes the decision could be made for him. According to sources, he has begun conversations with Flavio Briatore, who currently serves as a temporary consultant at Alpine, a team actively looking for a permanent team principal. The idea is for Briatore to eventually step aside and let someone else take the reins. Horner has reportedly opened these talks as his support within Red Bull is quickly eroding, especially from the Thai ownership group, who had previously backed him despite the turmoil. One of the conditions for him to remain in charge was that the team's on-track performance stayed strong. That's not happening in 2025, and it's adding even more pressure. The biggest issues surrounding Horner are, of course, the legal case involving allegations of misconduct by a female employee, a case that's still active and has already leaked enough damaging information to impact his and the team's image. In addition, there's the internal power struggle with Helmut Marko, Red Bull's longtime advisor. Horner allegedly tried to oust Marko last year, leading Max Verstappen to step in and threaten to leave the team if Marko were removed. This intervention helped Marko retain his influence, while Horner's powers were significantly reduced. As of now, Horner no longer has the authority to sign new drivers, not even for the junior teams like Racing Bulls or Red Bull's feeder series. Those responsibilities now rest with Marko and Oliver Mintzlaff, Red Bull's CEO. This shift followed Horner's decision to extend Sergio Perez's contract, which ended up costing the team over $18 million, another major point of contention. In response, Horner appears to be actively exploring opportunities beyond Red Bull. He even mentioned in a recent interview that Ferrari had shown interest in hiring him, though he declined at the time. Now, talks with Alpine and Briatore are well known across the paddock, signaling a serious move on his part. Briatore, known for being unbothered by controversy, might actually be an ideal ally for Horner, especially if Alpine is looking for experienced leadership to turn things around. Horner reportedly wants more than just a leadership role. He's also asking for partial ownership of the team. This raises the stakes. It's not just about continuing his career, but securing long-term influence wherever he lands. We'll have to wait and see if Alpine is willing to make that kind of offer, and whether Red Bull will decide to hold on to Horner or let him go. A lot can change between now and the start of the 2026 season, and it looks like Christian Horner is making sure he's ready for whatever comes next. But what do you think? Is Horner right to be exploring other options already? Has his time at Red Bull run its course? Or will the team stand by him despite the recent setbacks? The uncertainty surrounding Lance Stroll's participation in the upcoming Canadian Grand Prix has drawn significant attention, particularly among Brazilian fans, as it could potentially pave the way for Felipe Drugovich to finally make his long-awaited Formula One debut. The situation revolves around a recent medical procedure undergone by the Canadian driver, who had to undergo surgery on his wrist earlier this week due to recurring pain. The operation was a repeat of a similar procedure he had 2 years ago, which at that time required around 15 days of recovery before he could return to racing. Given the proximity of the Canadian Grand Prix, which is scheduled to take place next weekend, the timing of Stroll's recovery has naturally raised questions about his availability for the race. Meanwhile, Felipe Drugovich, Aston Martin's reserve driver, has been preparing for his scheduled participation in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which coincides with the Canadian Grand Prix weekend. Nevertheless, Drugovich has publicly stated that he is ready to forego the endurance race should he be called upon to replace Stroll in Montreal. Recent reports from sources close to Aston Martin suggest that Stroll's recovery is progressing well. According to the information disclosed, the expected recovery window would end just before the start of on-track activities in Montreal. This would technically make the Canadian driver eligible to compete from a medical standpoint. However, his participation will ultimately depend on the results of a series of physical evaluations and mandatory fitness assessments required by both the team and the FIA. These tests are essential to determine whether Stroll is fit to endure the physical demands of a full Grand Prix without risking further injury. If he passes these evaluations and does not report any residual discomfort, the likelihood is that Stroll will take his place on the starting grid for his home race. In that case, Drugovich would fulfill his original commitment and travel to France for the Le Mans event. On the other hand, any setbacks or last-minute concerns regarding Stroll's condition could open the door for the Brazilian to finally make his debut in Formula One, a moment fans have been anticipating since he joined the Aston Martin driver program. As the situation continues to unfold, Aston Martin has yet to release an official statement confirming Stroll's participation in the Canadian Grand Prix. Nonetheless, behind-the-scenes optimism indicates that the team is preparing as if the Canadian will race, especially considering the emotional and symbolic importance of competing at home. For Drugovich, however, the possibility remains alive, and his professionalism in remaining prepared for either outcome reflects the mindset of a driver who knows how quickly opportunities can arise at the highest level of motorsport. This development highlights the unpredictable nature of Formula One, where opportunities can come not only from merit, but also from unforeseen circumstances. Drugovich has consistently demonstrated maturity, focus, and adaptability, traits that have earned him respect both within the paddock and among fans. His readiness to step into the role at a moment's notice reflects his determination to cement his place in the sport, and his performance in practice sessions and simulator work has kept him in high regard with the Aston Martin team. Hey friends, here's an urgent update straight from the Red Bull garage that could shake up the grid in the coming weeks. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because we're here every single day with the latest and most relevant news from Formula One, always direct and on point. Now let's get into it. After the incident involving Max Verstappen and George Russell during the Spanish Grand Prix, things have escalated beyond what many expected. Verstappen received a 10-second time penalty during the race, dropping from P5 to P10, and more critically, he was handed 3 penalty points on his super license. That brings his total to 11, just 1 point away from the dreaded 12-point limit that triggers an automatic one-race suspension. This isn't just a minor detail. With the championship race heating up and Red Bull already facing pressure from McLaren, Ferrari, and even Mercedes in the constructors' standings, losing their star driver for a race would be catastrophic. Red Bull knows this, and that's exactly why, according to reports from the race, the team has quietly submitted a request for a super license exemption for one of their most promising young drivers, Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad is currently just 17 years old but already competes in Formula 2, where he's sitting third in the championship. He has accumulated enough points for a super license, but because of his age, he needs a special waiver from the FIA. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli faced the same situation last season. Despite being underage, Antonelli was granted the license because of his exceptional maturity and track record. Lindblad, by all accounts, fits that same profile. The FIA is set to vote on Lindblad's exemption as early as next week. If approved, he could be eligible to race in Formula One immediately. But before that happens, Red Bull has another name in mind if Verstappen is suspended: Isaac Hadjar. The young French driver has been making waves in his rookie season with Racing Bulls. If Verstappen is sidelined, Hadjar would likely be promoted to Red Bull's main seat, giving the team a chance to evaluate him under top-level pressure. That move would leave a vacancy at Racing Bulls. Red Bull would then decide between Ayumu Iwasa and Arvid Lindblad to fill that seat, depending on whether Lindblad gets the green light from the FIA. This entire situation shows that Red Bull is preparing for the worst. They are not taking any chances with Verstappen's volatile driving style or emotional outbursts. And there's good reason for concern. Verstappen's recent behavior has raised eyebrows even within his own team. The collision with Russell was seen by many as avoidable, and some insiders believe that if Verstappen doesn't rein in his aggression, it could cost the team dearly, not just in points but in their title hopes. So what's next? The answer depends on Verstappen. He has 2 races, Canada and Austria, before some of his penalty points expire. If he avoids further infractions during this period, he'll drop from 11 to 9 points and escape the danger zone. But if he picks up even 1 more point before then, Red Bull will be forced to act. So now we ask you, is Red Bull just being smart and cautious, or are they genuinely worried that Verstappen might explode again under pressure? And if he does get suspended, who would you rather see in his place? Hadjar, Lindblad, or someone else entirely? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to follow us here at Grand Prix for everything you need to know about Formula One. Updated daily and always with clarity.